Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to El Tel Cockerel. It's Jose and my colleague from Talk and Ball,
Hey,
Colin.
Colin. Yeah, how's it going, Jose?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. The working day's over. The working day's over, so all good. And yours is going to begin in a couple of hours' time. So, where I'm going to relax, you're going to go headstrong into what I've had to do all day long today.
I'm staying relaxed. It's gonna be a relaxed day. Sometimes you just got to tell yourself, you just got to manifest it. It's gonna be a nice, chill day at work. I can feel it. But no, hope your day was good, buddy.
Yeah, it's been all right. Um,
Busy.
yeah, yeah, it's been busy. But yeah, we soldier on, we soldier on. So today I allowed you to do the thumbnail. So just let our viewers know what the thumbnail's all about.
Yeah.
It's impressive, but just let them know what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a thumbnail, or sorry, a thumbnail. Jeez, there's a thumbnail I made referencing a movie called Nothing But the Night. It's a bit of an older late 70s, early 80s horror movie that I like. But that's kind of how I feel like our transfers have gone, and same for most teams in the Premier League, of course. But nothing but the night, nothing but nothing, nothing but darkness. And then I put in a little subheader: when do we no big transfers? When do we bring in quality? I don't know. I just wanted to kind of pose that question to you and anybody who might be watching. Um, is it time to worry? And then I also there's like an evil character in the movie, and I changed his face to Daniel Levy in the clip or in the thumbnail as well. So yeah,
Mm,
yeah, yeah.
fantastic. Should we say hello? We've got a couple of people here.
Of
Might as well
course.
might as well say hello to them.
Yeah.
So we have Jazz Fusion. Oops, sorry, Jazz Fusion. Always darkest before the dawn. Unfortunately, it's always partly cloudy over there.
I love it. I love it.
And and Daniel Coys, big up. Hello, Daniel. How are you? I hope you're well. As we all know, my first topic of the day is going to be what about Spain?
Yeah.
What
I know
about
you'd be excited.
Spain? No, no, no. My to equal my deal, I need England to beat Holland tonight. Is what I need. So it's England beat Holland tonight. I'm on a winner, whatever happens on Sunday. If England don't beat Holland tonight, then I'm supporting Spain on Sunday. But if England win tonight, then I can support.
Be
I can
honest.
win. Yeah, I can win.
Be honest. If it's England, Spain, is your heart gonna be maybe pulling for Spain a little bit more?
No, no, I'm right down the middle. Really, really, genuinely, right down the middle.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Really,
Very cool.
really, right down the middle is what I'll be. Um, at the end of the day, I've got family that will be supporting Spain, and I have family that will be supporting England. So it's my wife will be supporting. My wife will be supporting England. My sister will be supporting Spain. So, and I've got that right through my family because I've got sisters, I've got cousins and aunts and uncles, and they'll probably, a lot of them will be rooting for Spain. But then I've got my wife's side of the family who would be rooting for England. And then I've got nephews and nieces that some will be rooting for Spain and some will be rooting for England. So I've got to balance it all. I mean, I went to Euro 96 to the England Spain quarter final
Oh
at
man,
in Wembley. So 96 would make it what, 28 years ago I went to that.
I was a good
Um,
old ripe 5 years old at the time, just to make you feel old.
so I
Uh,
went to that and Spain murdered England on the pitch. Spain scored a legitimate goal that was given offside. This is before your technology in that. This is when the linesman gave it. You had to just grin and bear with it and get on with it. Replays at the end of the game showed the player was clearly onside. So these things that I'm wearing now would have been tailor made for the linesman at the time because he was clearly onside.
getting the
Um,
Specsavers.
yeah, Specsavers, as he says. Aye, aye, aye. Yeah, so, but I went to that game and I went with, there was about 40 of us that went to the game. And we went to the Hilton Hotel at Wembley before the game. We had pre-drinks. Then we went to the match and then we had tickets for the Hilton after the game to carry on partying, which we did till about 3 in the morning, in fact. Uh, it was a game on a Saturday. Um, and we've got Alan here as well. Hi, Alan.
Hey, good morning, Jose. What's up,
Welcome,
Colin?
mate.
How's it going, buddy?
Good, good, man.
It's still early for you. 8 a.m. Yuck.
Yeah, it's okay.
Got your
It's all
coffee?
right.
Got your coffee?
Oh yeah, just finished my coffee actually.
Nice. That's why you seem so peppy. All right.
Yes.
So just to finish the story off, so I went to the game, and after the game, we had drinks after the England-Spain game as well. I went to the quarterfinals, Alan, of the Euros in '96. It's Spain-England. That's what I'm talking about.
Nice.
Spain played England off the park and had a disallowed goal. These were the days before you had the technology you have nowadays, where the
Sure.
linesman gave it, and when at the end of the game, when they showed the highlight or the repeated the action, they needed what we're both wearing at the moment, glasses, because it was clearly onside by way onside. And then obviously England went on to win on penalties. And then the after party we had at Wembley, the Hilton at Wembley, till 3 in the morning. We left there, and then we ventured into the West End and carried on drinking in the West End. But
Oh wow.
this was when I was a lot younger. It's 28 years ago. But what I do remember is going to the after party, and in the after party at Wembley, I was drinking with Tim Sherwood.
Oh wow.
No way.
Yeah, David Batty.
Really?
Yeah, players like that were drinking with us because um, they obviously had gone to watch the match as well. And there was loads of pro footballers there. They'd gone to watch the match as well, and then they had tickets for the after party as well, which we managed to get hold of.
Wow.
So it was quite good because you could back then you could have a drink with players at the bar and that, and they wouldn't feel overawed. We're talking about times before you had phone cameras and you know tell all stories and stuff like that. So it was a much more chilled time when you can mix with the players and that.
The
So
good old
yeah,
days, as one might say.
yeah. So it was really good. So it was enjoyable. So and back then, 40-handed, we went there, and I had a mixture back then as well of my wife was at the game with me, and so were others that supported England, and my sisters were at the game along with others that were supporting Spain. So therefore, like I was saying, to me, England, if they do what they need to do tonight, then Sunday I win, whatever happens. But if England do go out tonight, then my eggs are all in Spain's basket. So that's where
Perfect.
I was saying. So Jazz Fusion is saying best in class, Jose. My dark horse is still kicking. And it's interesting, Jazz is saying that Spain were his dark horse. I spoke to someone today, and they were saying that they never even thought about Spain winning it before the tournament started.
Weird.
You got Jesse saying afternoon. Oh, good afternoon, Jesse. I hope you're
Yo.
well. And then we've got Ryan G says, big up Jose, Colin, Alan, and the chat. And I found it interesting, the conversation I had with someone earlier on today, when they said that Spain, they never even gave Spain a thought. And I said, really? And I said, yeah, didn't know nothing about Spain, knew nothing about their players or anything at all. Didn't realise they had a good team. And I said, well, in
They
the
always do.
betting market, the favourites were England, then France, really tight on the prices for them two. Third favourites were Germany, and then it was Spain. Spain were favoured more than Portugal, and Holland were like sixth or seventh favourites. So I'm just like, well, why are people looking? Why is Spain a
Why are they
dark
acting
horse?
like Spain was some kind of a
Why
minnow?
why is Spain a dark horse? I don't say a minnow, but why is Spain a dark horse when they're more favoured in the betting than what Portugal or Holland were? Obviously, Portugal have gone out, but Portugal probably played better than France and didn't deserve to go out, but did. And then you've got Holland, who lost a game already in this tournament and came third in their group and have now made the semi-final. But so why did people favour Holland? And I couldn't understand it. But that's down
Maybe
to
it's
other
on
people.
paper. Maybe on paper, like we were talking about on paper, France had a better name recognition team. Like and it looked like they had a slightly better team just on paper, but they didn't
Yeah,
play like they were the better team, of course.
that was what Alan and I were saying yesterday. If when you looked at the two, there were more like, I feel like, at least for me, household names on the France squad last night than there were on Spain's, and so yeah, and that could
And
be
how come,
part of it.
Jose? How come they're playing Mark Cucurella? I feel like Mark Cucurella. You can improve. Spain could do better than Mark Cucurella.
Okay, well, Cucurella has been absolutely outstanding all tournament. So you can say that now, but he's played absolutely out of his skin. He currently is in the team of the tournament at the moment.
Really?
Cucurella. Yeah. There's no one in left back who's played better than him in the whole tournament. And the fact is, he's keeping out Alex Grimaldo from Bayer Leverkusen. He's keeping him out of the team at the moment. And you've got to remember that De La Fuente, the Spanish manager, he has put trust and faith in players that played for him in under 17 level when they won one of the world stage titles at under 17. And then he had a different team, under 21s, that also won as well. And Cucurella was in. I think Cucurella might have been in the 21s
Oh,
that
wow.
he's got. So he's put trust in Cucurella. He's picked players that he trusts that have played in his teams in the past, or that can play the system that he wants to play. Cucurella's been outstanding. Cucurella's been totally different to the player that played for Chelsea.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I haven't watched a lot of the Euro. I've just, from what I know, Mark Cucurella. And why no Pedro Porro?
Because they preferred Danny Carvajal, who has 6 European titles
Well,
with
yeah.
Real Madrid, but has never ever represented Spain in a major championships. This is his first major championships.
Well, and he's already not. He didn't represent yesterday. What did he get? Too many yellows?
He got a red card in the last game, didn't he?
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he got a red card in the last game.
That's not helping.
Well, hey, at least it didn't cost us anything, you know.
So you've got Carvajal's out with a red card. So they played Jesus Navas, who's 38 years of age.
Yeah.
And he was an out-and-out winger, been converted into a right back of sorts at his club.
Yeah, that's happened within the last couple of years for him. I want to say maybe 5 or 4 or 5 years.
So he's picked them two over Pedro Porro. I have no doubts Pedro Porro continues the way he plays. Pedro Porro will be in the squad beyond these championships.
You mean like possible World Cup squad or something?
I would have thought Navas would be by the wayside by then.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so, turning into dust.
Yeah, Carvajal will be fit for the final. Robin Lenormand, who didn't play yesterday because he was suspended, will be fit for the final. They brought Nacho in at centre back. Nacho, who left Real Madrid at 34 years of age, another 6-time European Cup winner, who's left Madrid. I think he's going to Saudi, and he came in yesterday, and he hasn't played many major tournaments for Spain either. But these boys, it just shows you the difference. But these boys have won 6 European titles.
Exactly. Yeah. There's experience there. It's like well, this is an American reference, but there's a basketball team, Boston Celtics, who a couple of years ago were, or maybe longer than that, were pretty good with a very old, experienced team, and I mean that helps. You know,
the Celtics have always been a top team, though. Always.
True.
You go back to the 60s and 70s, and the Celtics were a top team back then as well.
But
Celtics are the top side.
So we were saying yesterday, and we were wondering, how is Alvaro Morata the captain of this team? Just
age and caps or what?
You got to remember that Spain don't play. Right. Let's if we're going to tackle this, we'll tackle it in a second. Let me just catch up with the chat, and we'll tackle this. Right. So first of all, can I say to everybody that's in the chat at the moment that the membership link is pinned to the chat if people wish to become members. Ryan G says, I've always had Spain as one of my main contenders, but I thought them lacking a top striker could be their downfall. But to be fair, hardly any sides have a top striker in this tournament. This is what I'm going to come to. Ryan G says, Cucurella has been brilliant for Spain. Daniel Coy says, Cucurella is always due a shocker in him. Look at recent times in Chelsea.
That's what I was thinking.
He's had 6 out of 6 so far. Good games. Scotty, how are you, mate? I hope you're well. Good morning to you, mate. Says, yes, hard to imagine a team with Morata starting could win the Euros. Mikey Romero, big up Mikey. I think Mikey's out in I think he's New York, isn't he, Mikey Romero?
Yeah, is he?
I think Mikey. I think Mikey's out in New York, if I remember rightly. But
nice, another American on our team. There we go.
Yeah, good morning to you, Mike. He says, big up, fellas. Great morning wherever you are. Jazz Fusion says, Tickle Me Elmo will get done. Got laughter from Alan. And then Colin Blackshaw says, "Good afternoon, gents." Now, with what you were saying, Alan, right?
Yeah.
Yes, someone's already alluded to it here, but the days of having an out-and-out 9, right, spearheading your team, have gone. You look at France. Who was France's 9?
Who was in the front? Kolomuani.
Is he an out-and-out 9? He's more a wide forward, Moani, I would have thought. And I think they played with 3 wide. Well, to me, there was 3 wide forwards. So they played with 3 players. They all played wide forward, and amongst the 3 of them, they let it sort out between themselves. You look at Holland. Who's the number 9 for Holland?
Are they playing Gakpo?
Gakpo's a wide forward. So a real 9 for Holland would be Wout Weghorst. But he's a sub. A sub. And they play with Depay as a false 9 type thing. They play with Depay. So what I'm trying to say is that you look at all the teams, most teams don't play with an out-and-out 9. They don't play with an out-and-out 9. Memphis plays there, but Memphis for me ain't an out-and-out 9. He's not a 9. He's always been a support striker, if anything. He's not been the main man, a number 9. So a lot of these teams in this tournament have gone away from using 9s. Very few teams that have used 9s. And I think we can also see this in football as well, in leagues. So if you look at leagues, people don't. We at Tottenham won an out-and-out 9. Yeah, we won a finisher. We won an out-and-out 9 because we were blessed in having
Harry Kane.
Harry Kane for years. So we won an out-and-out 9. But if you look at most teams say, yeah, let's pick we want a forward that can play in the front 3. So you can interchange and stuff like that. And that probably started, a lot of that here in England started with Klopp, when Klopp brought in Salah, Mane, and Firmino. None of them were 9s, but they interchanged. And Firmino played as a false, didn't he? A false 9.
Yeah. That was so dangerous too. You never know who you were marking. Players would be moving all around. Good stuff.
I mean, Manchester City play with a traditional 9 because Haaland's a 9.
Yeah.
Arsenal don't play with a traditional 9.
No, they need a 9.
They have in the past.
They don't play with a 9 though, do they? I mean, years ago they did, but they don't play with a 9 because Jesus ain't a 9 either. So, you go down to Liverpool. Liverpool's number 9 and doesn't get picked at the moment is Nunez, but they don't play. They play more often than not. They don't play with Nunez up front.
I'd say with Arsenal, it's been since they had like Welbeck or something, right? No, wait, did they ever have Welbeck? Am I thinking of?
No, it's Man United.
Who's the other?
No, Welbeck played for Arsenal before he went to Man United.
So I thought, okay, cool.
So then you start looking at the teams around you, and so Watkins ain't a number 9 for me. So Watkins is like a player that can play across the front 3. He's not an out-and-out number 9. So when you're looking at these teams, people have gone away from the people have gone away from an out-and-out 9. You look at Ivan Toney. He's an out-and-out 9 because they play with Mbeumo and Wissa as a wide forwards, and they play with him down the middle. He's an out-and-out 9 for them. So, football's changing. I don't know whether it's changing for the better. And we can have the age-old argument that many, many years ago, and I'd go back to 15 years ago, you used to look at players and teams back then, and the quality seems to have been far better in all positions, to be honest, than what it is now. And I heard someone say this the other day on the show that I was listening to, and it might have been on the radio, that football has become more robotic nowadays. The training that people get given, if you have flair, you can't use it because you're robotized into what you got to do. You've got to do this or you've got to do that. Where back in the day you had flair players. So if we're going to talk about Tottenham, because we are Tottenham supporters, when you had Hoddle was a flair player. Gascoigne was a flair player.
You reckon that Vincent Hill could have been a player back in the could have been one of those flair players back in the day, back before
who?
Hill Messi, Brian Hill Messi.
I thought you said Vince Hill, and I was Vince Hill.
No, my fault. No, my fault. Good old Brian. I think I don't know. I think he's one of those players who back in could have played in that kind of a role, but there's not really space for him in the game right now.
So you've got Mikey confirming, yes, sir, New Jersey, New York area. And then he says not too far from the MetLife Stadium.
Okay.
Nice. That's nice.
You've got
I've
a
been
few
there.
people saying hello to each other. Scott saying Aubameyang was the last 9 that Arsenal had.
I would agree with that. That's fair.
Gus Parker is saying football is garbage now.
Big up, Gus.
Welcome, Gus. They were talking about it on Danny's show yesterday. I don't know if you were watching that, Jose. No, I didn't see Danny's show, Scott. It was the radio because I was working yesterday. But I think I was listening to a radio station on the way home last night because I was trying to get back for the Spain game, Scott. And they were saying it there that, all the flair has gone out of football and all the flair players have gone out. And I'm just thinking about what they were saying and trying to relate it to Tottenham. And I'm thinking to myself, back in the day, you had flair players. Who are your flair players now? And they were saying it's robotic. Yeah, the way that you're coached and that now is that you're not allowed to use your flair. You're being told that you have to do this, that, and the other. So, we have Shemtam. Shemtam's good afternoon, Mr. Bossman Jose Mourinho and his junior assistant, Mr. Colin, and Mr. Intern Alan. Hope you're all well today. Turkey. Oh, right, we lost.
Alan, though, you're in. You've been given a nickname, so you're part
Excellent.
of the crew. Yeah.
Excellent.
As soon as Shemtam anoints you, you are then anointed for life.
Perfect.
Exactly. The only way out now is in a box. So
Ryan G says, "Did you see Arsenal offer 50 grand for our number two keeper?"
Does he mean Raya?
No. He's the Wolves goalkeeper.
Oh.
They're the Wolves number 2 keeper. Daniel Coy says he did say Vincent Hill, who's a cross of Vincent Janssen and Brian Hill. I thought he said Vince Hill.
Yeah, I thought you said Vince Hill.
Yeah, Vince Hill as in Hill. I didn't hear Hill. I heard Hill as in the hill. But yeah.
Hey, guys.
Ryan G says cheeky. I don't know. That's 2.
Arsenal maybe with that bid about their keeper or what?
Ricky Osvaldo 72 is Ange out. Good afternoon, good evening, Ricky, wherever you are, mate.
What's up, Rick?
And Jeff Fusion says, and yet Tungai still exists. The flair don't lie. It just left to find a happy meal.
There you go. Exactly. Tanji was such a weird. I say he's still a football player, but his style is so bizarre.
I'll ask you, Alan, first, and then I'll ask you, Colin, after.
Wow.
Right. Sorry, just before I say that, you've got Ronnie saying, afternoon, all Ange in. So you've got an Ange out and an Ange in. Right. So when you first started following Tottenham, or football, who were the players that you used to look at, either for Tottenham or when you started watching football?
Ooh, we had this talk yesterday, bro.
Yep. It was very young Gareth Bale. Who was on that team?
Andrew American boys.
Robbie Keane. Who's the goalie? The American. What's his name?
Brad Friedel.
Brad Friedel. I can't remember everybody else.
What opponent? Okay, so what opponents did you look at playing when we had our opponents? Is there any players that you admired from afar that didn't play for Tottenham at the time?
Well, the Manchester United team.
And what players did they have at the time?
Oh my God.
Have a think about it. I'll come back to you on it.
Yeah, come back to me.
Have a think about it, and I'll come back to you. Colin, so when you started
foggy.
following Tottenham,
yep,
right? Who were the players that stood out for you at Tottenham at the time, and what opponents did you admire some of their players from?
Yeah, so at the time I was pretty into Aaron Lennon. Aaron Lennon was like the guy that really got me. I don't know why, hooked me in. But Aaron Lennon, obviously Luka Modric. I also liked, players like Crouchy, Adebayor.
I like Peter Crouch too.
Adebayor could do some wild stuff when he wanted to. And then that like Alan was saying, that Manchester United team was absolutely stacked. That was when they were kind of coming to the end of their reign, but they were still cranking out wins, even if they were just little 1-0, or 2-1 victories. And then, yeah, I mean, weird teams, they would come up and I would think they did good. I remember there was a year back around that time when Blackpool came up and they were a lot of fun to watch. Yeah, just fun, tricky, tenacious players.
So did you not see Van der Vaart?
Oh yeah.
Oh well, of
Yeah,
course,
yeah.
of course, Van der Vaart.
So
Yeah.
you saw Van der Vaart play. Okay.
I was also interested in the what was he, young Wayne Rooney?
Yeah.
Wayne Rooney was nuts. I think next to the dude for Spain, the really young guy for Spain. I think they're the two best 16-year-olds I've ever seen in my life. Would be Wayne Rooney, and then would be the Lamine Yamal for Spain. I don't think I've ever seen any.
Didn't they have Paul Scholes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
So if I'm thinking about it, right, thinking about what you guys are saying, and I'm looking at some of the players that Tottenham had, and then I'm looking out at some of our opponents at the time that you guys are talking about, you would have been around when Van Nistelrooy was playing for Man United.
Correct, and even
and then
even
later on, it would have been Robbie Van Persie playing up front for Man United.
Mm-hmm. He was a machine as well.
You're talking about Scholesy, Michael Carrick when he played for Man United was
Berbatov.
Berbatov when he played for them.
Berbatov when he played for Tottenham as well. So this is what I'm saying. You had great players and flair players who did their thing. What Berbatov was doing at Tottenham, you cannot coach that. You got that natural ability, you just do it. What Rooney did at Man United, you don't coach. He was street footballer. Street football, you can't coach that. You've got it within, and you're showing off what you've got. You've got someone. You've got Yamin Lamau. He's not being restricted into what he's doing. He's been allowed to flourish. Do what you need to do. Nico Williams, do what you need to do. So, these players are not to a penny as they used to be. Over the years, football has been diluted, where we've lost a lot of these players because things are becoming robotic. You must stand here. You must go there. You must do this. You must do that. And a lot of the football is not as entertaining as what it once was. I mean, if we roll back the years, and not only ourselves, but you've got people in the chat as well. I roll back the years. I was fortunate enough to see the tail end of Johan Cruyff.
Oh shit! Nice.
Right? In the 70s and late 70s, Johan Cruyff was an absolute beast of a footballer.
The dog's bollocks.
Right? Beast of a footballer. I saw George Best tail end of his career play.
Wow.
Right. I saw. Well, obviously, I grew up with Maradona, so I watched Maradona play football. Tail end of Pele, but by the time I watched Pele was at New York Cosmos in the 70s when I was watching Pele play.
What a cool end! Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? So you've got all these players that were years ago, and you start looking at these players, and you start, who have you got around nowadays that can match these? Okay, we've been blessed in certain respects having Messi and Ronaldo for probably the last decade or so. We've been blessed with that. But back in the day, these players were like 2 a penny. We're trying to pick players now, but before we had loads because people weren't robotic back then. If you had a gift, you were allowed to show that.
You didn't have to be the best athlete. Right now in sports, you have to be the absolute best athlete, where I feel like athleticism and being a good footballer, while they overlap, they're definitely not the same thing. And I think back in the day, you had a lot of people that were great footballers. They weren't necessarily great athletes. And so, yeah, you're right. Their flair, their ability on the ball, their ability to look out and see things was a lot more important than how many sprints they could make at top speed up and down the pitch. Yeah, I get what you're saying. A whole lot. I don't even know. I mean, I'm sure he would absolutely fit into the game just fine. But think about how much the game has changed since a great player like Ronaldinho has played. The spaces he occupied or the way he played, I don't think a lot of managers probably would say, I don't want that guy. He's not gonna, bust a gut back, help on defense. I don't know. It's the game's changed. You're right.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you're talking about someone like Ronaldinho, right? And that's who you're talking about at the moment. If I go back to the Brazil side when he played, Ronaldinho,
they had such a good Brazil side.
You had Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Rivaldo.
Rivaldo, yeah.
You had Bebeto playing up
Mhm.
front as well. You had so many absolutely fantastic footballers.
Original
Right.
Ronaldo.
Yeah, original. Yeah, the the proper R9.
R9.
The
Yeah.
proper R9. The proper R9. There's no shaking. It's the proper R9.
Yeah.
And so you had all these players playing, right? What, 10, 15, 20 years ago they were playing, right? So
Yep.
therefore, but you don't get that now. Now I understand that some people or some of the Brazilian ex-players are like, well, football's become so far what they're saying, robotic and stuff. People haven't got flair. People don't have ability. People aren't allowed to express themselves. There's no point in me watching Brazil. And, it's an indictment from former players to say that. Where did Brazil get to in the Copa America?
Quarterfinals.
The semi-final, they got knocked out in the quarterfinals. Yeah, is it quarterfinals? Yeah, they did. Yeah, okay, so they got to the quarterfinals. That's unheard of. The finals used to be Brazil. If you don't see Brazil and Argentina in the final, you're just like, hold on, what's going on? So you can go back and you can look, and the same as here in England. I mean, if you go back to Italy back in the 90s and the early 2000s, every Italian team had 3 or 4 genuine world-class players playing for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Italy was the place to be.
And they did their own thing. They did what I'm talking about. They weren't robotic. Yeah. As a nation, they're very defensive, Italy, and their teams are very defensive. They're hard to score against. But boy, did they have imagination up front in their teams and in midfield. They had imagination. And
maybe that was part of the defensive setups of other teams might have caused kind of cause and effect thing. You got to be more creative. You got to be able to unlock a tight defense. So it's going to take something special. And that makes sense too.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, football is a worse place, I think, at the moment, whereby a lot of it's been taken out because of the Sorry, I'm just trying to decide where I was on the chat so I can go back to it. Because the chat's just pouring in and I've just missed it. So a lot of football's changed. So just to catch up with the chat, Smithy is saying, "Hola, Senor Jose, Mr. Cole, and the geezer at the bottom, big up." The geezer at the bottom, Smithy, is Alan from Team Tottenham Go. That's who the fella is at the bottom. Gus Parker is saying, "Has Spurs signed anyone over the legal drinking age yet?" What's the legal drinking age in America? It depends from state to state. I know where I was. It was 21.
It's 21 all over.
Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah,
So
it used to vary. In Tennessee, it used to be 19. My mom tells stories of going there.
I had my 21st in America, but I was driving. I wasn't driving because I don't drive, but we were going round to bars and drinking before I was 21.
Mm-hmm.
I had a driving license. I've never driven in my life, but I had a driving license that we put a picture on and then we laminated to make it out to be a certified document. But the Americans didn't know no different because our driving license had never had photographs back when I was 20 years of age, many moons ago. So I turned 21 in America, so I'm fully aware of what the drinking age is. And that's when I found out that in America you go by the month, then the date, not the date, then the month.
Oh yeah.
So when you were reading my date of birth,
it sounded made up as hell. You're like, there's not that many months in a year.
It looks like it looks madly different. So, but yeah, but it's interesting. I was 20 when I was out in the States, and I had my 21st out there, and there was people that were in their 40s that I was out there with, and they were being checked. They had to take their passports everywhere they went, and they were being checked for drinking. And me, lonely old me, 20 years old, I just flash. If I was asked, I'd flash me driving license, but I wasn't asked that much. The others were asking.
You gotta act kind of irritated. You gotta be like, yep, here you go.
So with Gus's point here, it's 21 in America, Gus. So no, we haven't signed any 21-year-olds. But here in England, I think the legal drinking limit's 18. And if that's the case, then Archie Gray and Lucas Bergvall can have a drink in this country because they're both 18. So that's just to answer your question. In America, Gus, no, we haven't signed anyone over the legal drinking age yet. But here in England, yeah, we have.
To be fair, I don't know if if he's saying it like it's a bad thing or a good thing. I personally think the signings we've made are a really good thing, because we're signing people for the long term. It's kind of how Tottenham used to do it under Pochettino, same thing. And they're very good players. I mean, they have a lot of potential. I saw in the comments someone talking about Bergvall playing kind of a trash league. The league itself, he can only play in the league he's in, and but he excelled in the league that he was in. Yes, it may not be the Premier League or Serie A or something like that, but he still did very well. And I think Bergvall still has a lot of potential. So he could do very well. I don't want to trash him simply because he came from that league. And because we may have a little bit of a bitter taste in our mouth from Vincent Janssen. But, I think it's a good thing that we're signing these young players. Those young players, coupled with the players from the under 21s, I mean, we have a very good future ahead of us, I think, for Tottenham.
We'll come to that because I can understand both sides of the argument on this. So we'll carry on with this conversation. Let me catch up with the chat and we'll carry on with what Alan's saying. Scott M says David Ginola for him. Yeah, flair player. Wasn't told you got to be here, you got to be there. Ginola went out and done his bits and pieces. Peter Caius says, hi all, 1:30 in Melbourne. I hope you're well, Peter. Thank you for tuning in. And I hope you are not too busy tonight helping save lives out on the road in Melbourne.
Oh, that's right. He's probably on call right now.
He's a paramedic. Yeah, he's on call. You got Shemtam saying, Ange out, Jose for manager, Colin for first team coach, Alan for director of football.
Perfect.
We're in. We'll take it. We accept.
I think this is a comment you might have been referring to. I'm sorry to call out some of this fan base hypocrites. Hyped up Bergvall signing, yet played in a league, probably League One quality in England, and Archie has English football experience. Gus says there always comes a tomorrow. Jazz Fusion says those of us who reserve judgment are okay with your take. Daniel Coys, what's Daniel saying? Hyped Bergvall to the moon, but yet criticised the Archie deal. They are all accountants or something. Gus is saying, I reckon a Spurs 11 all time could top any teams. Some incredible individuals over the years. Colin, we did this, didn't we? We did a show where we picked our all-time 11, but the caveat was it was from 60-61 to present day, wasn't it? The team that we picked. And I can't recall the team now. I think Pat Jennings was the goalkeeper.
You're correct. Yep.
I think we ended up with Walker at right back, Cyril Knowles at left back.
And obviously Ledley is one of the center backs.
It was Ledley and was it Ledley and Mabbott that ended up being the centre backs?
Yeah, I think so.
And then in midfield, we ended up with
Modric.
I don't know whether Modric made it. I know Gareth Bale made the team.
Oh yeah, the lineup that we did. Yeah, the formation.
Glenn Hoddle made the team. Jimmy Greaves, Harry Kane. I can't remember, but we've done this previously on a previous show where what we did is I went and I picked the top 5 players in each position, and I think we picked was it a 4-4-2 we did in the end? Yeah, we did a right midfield, left midfield, 2 centre midfields, and I picked the best 5 players who had the best stats for Tottenham, and I went out and put it out who the 5 were, and we voted in on the chat. So we had a panel of people of different ages who spoke up for each player and to give them, the whys and wherefores. And then we let the chat decide who would get the vote. And we ended up picking our All-Star 11. And you're quite right. Our All-Star 11 would have been amazing. Would have been amazing against any team. David Clark says, I was hooked by true greats in John White, Dave Mackay, Jimmy Greaves, Danny Blanchflower, Terry Dyson, and more. So,
wow, David, are you trying to imply that that Aaron Lennon wasn't a true great? I'm just kidding, of course.
I don't think Aaron Lennon was born with when David Clark's talking, because David Clark's talking about the 60s team.
Yeah, no. I'm just fooling, of course. Of course, you can't put Aaron Lennon in that same group.
Smithy's saying, in Archie we trust, #14, because as everyone knows, Archie's taken the number 14. Gus is saying, yes, there's no imagination now.
And the
Uh,
players that have just a bit look magical. Like Eden Hazard used to be a player that I feel like played with a little bit of imagination. Kind of old school.
3 for all says Matthew Letizia.
Good shout. Yeah, good call.
Daniel Coy's saying that Brazil are finished.
Ooh.
Scott M is saying fat Ronaldo. So when we was talking about the
Yes.
real Ronaldo, yeah.
The real Ronaldo.
David Clark says the difference between good and great are miles apart. Pele, the greatest of all time, but people forget Eusebio. He was not just a great player, but a great human being. Jesse saying hashtag Archie Gray player of the season incoming.
Big up Jess. Jess knows. I always would speak highly of him and say that I wish we would come in and swoop him, and we did.
Yep.
We did. We made it happen.
And Peter is agreeing with 3 for all. And David Clark saying, please don't say they weren't athletes. Jarzinho could outrun with the ball than any modern player.
So I guess I'm talking about players like former Tottenham players. What's why can't I think of his name? The prankster guy, the funny dude, the dude that lost his boot. Gaza. Was Gaza an athlete? You know what I mean? Like I was just there were more players like that back then than there are now. For sure. In fact, I would say there are like no players like that.
DC's then saying the great Bobby Charlton said the best player he ever played alongside was Sir Tom Finney, a man who I shook hands with as an apprentice electrician. He owned a false seeding company. He came to sight.
Interesting. Oh, wow. That's cool. And I didn't know you were an electrician. That's neat too, man.
Scott M, drinking age is 18 here. Crazy. It's 21 in the States.
Scott, it's so they can arrest people for minor consumption and then milk money out of them through probation fees and stuff.
He says, I will never get how you can vote and go to war but not have a beer. Just Fusion had a lot of drunk drivers. Had a counterfeit DL ring operating out of my high school. They got caught by the cops and they couldn't spell Arkansas. It's a true story. What's a DL ring?
Driver's license.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, right. And they got caught out by the cops because they couldn't spell Arkansas. I couldn't either. Peter Guerreras, that's right. Old enough to die for your country, but can't have a drink.
Yeah. Yes. Wild stuff.
We do have a lot of drunk drivers, though, and it with as it is with kids when they drive. If you've ever driven around near younger than 18 or 18 and 19, they're still teens. You know what I mean? And they still
I guess if you lowered the drinking age, you would have to raise the driving age.
And we have it's a lot. There are a lot more drivers here, and I think younger drivers driving drunk. I wouldn't even want to drive anymore. Do something else. I'll fly everywhere
or walk.
Yeah, walk.
Fair.
Skyrim to you, Alan says, Alan, I think it depends on what the goal is. If it's to win and compete for our trophies, signings make no sense. We'll come back to that. Ryan G says Spurs all-time 11 wouldn't top every other team's. Come on now. Paul G, good afternoon. Paul says, big up lads, it's coming home.
Yeah.
A lot of people talking to each other. David Clark says Lennon was excellent for just over 2 seasons. Sorry, but that doesn't make him great.
No way. I know.
No.
You've got audio saying afternoon chaps in chat. And then you've got Alex from Box Office, Mr. Box Office TV. Alex saying this is embarrassing. Archie Gray had 5 minutes in the championship. Overhyped, below average. Michael Carrick.
Big up, Alex. Hope you're well, bro.
Then you've got David Clark saying Gazza's dad took him to the pub when he was 10 years old. That's good reason why he was never an athlete, because he was an alcoholic. Brian Maguire says, any transfer news? And
not really.
And well, there isn't.
Wow.
We will discuss something afterwards, but for now, we've done what about Spain? What about Spain? Spain are superb. I think you've all seen it. The world deserve to be in the final, and I am hoping that England do the other part of my deal and win tonight and give me the Spain-England final that I called at the start of the tournament. Right. Next comments is. I'll start with you, Colin. What's going to happen with Holland, England?
Tough. Yesterday I said it's going to be kind of like I don't know, 2 teams that both are both not playing very well. So it's just like who can be that little bit better. And then pound for pound, pound for pound.
So it's an England win.
England have the better team, I think, on paper. in almost every position. They've got better players. I mean, the defense maybe for Holland might be a hair better, but yeah, I mean, England should go out there and get it done. They've got this big old, I feel like tumor they're carrying around in their tactics that they're just having to kind of lug behind them and play in spite of. But yeah, I think England will get it done. It'll of course be a 1-0 or 2-1 type victory. I don't see them winning more than a 1-goal margin, unfortunately, and it might even go to all the way to pens. But yeah, I still think even if that happens, I think that that England would take it. So yeah, I think England wins, but I don't think it's pretty. And then I think they ultimately, sorry, don't crucify me, anyone, but I think if it's a Spain-England final, I fancy Spain.
Alan, what's going to happen with England-Holland?
I think it's going to, based on how they've been playing, it will most likely be a very unentertaining game. Probably will have a bit of back and forth, but nothing exciting. I'm thinking Cody Gakpo's got a couple of goals. We were talking about it yesterday. So he could be dangerous, but and we were talking about Trippier on the left. So I'm wondering if they're going to push that left side. So I'm wondering if if Holland can expose England on the left side.
Great point.
And I'm a little worried for England because I think that if they start Harry Kane, and I'm one of Harry Kane's biggest supporters. I love Harry Kane. I have a picture of him up on my wall. And he's one of my favorite players, but I think he's playing tired, and I'm my favorite players, I don't want them to play tired like that. I think he's been overplayed, and I think between age and how many minutes he's been playing, he needs to be subbed. I think for them to be serious, if they're serious, I think they will sub him, even if they bring him on later, or maybe they start him and then sub him earlier. But I think if England really wants a shot at beating them, they're going to have to make more changes, which, if they're starting Trippier, it doesn't sound like they're going to make too many changes, and I'm a little worried for them. So I got a sneaking suspicion that Holland may edge England in this game if they don't change up the lineup a bit more. And I'm rooting for Spain. If that happens, I'm definitely rooting for Spain. When it comes, if England is to get past Holland, then I'll probably root for. I don't have any skin in the game, so I'll probably root for England.
I like a good underdog.
So for me, the word coming out last night is that Trippier will start for England today.
I read that too.
Right, in the left back position. However, the reasoning behind this is this is my understanding. The reasoning behind it is that although Shaw, which I don't agree he should have been taken, because if you take a gamble of taking Shaw thinking he's going to be fit for the second game, and he's not even fit for the sixth game, which is tonight, then you should never have taken him. And they didn't take a backup left back because they didn't even pick Chilwell or Tyreek Mitchell from Crystal Palace. So that's all on the manager. He chose his squad. I'm just, to me, Holland don't play like Switzerland. Holland don't play like Slovenia, where they're well organised, well structured, the defenders a unit, the attackers a unit. I see Holland as fragmented individuals, a bit like England.
I was just about to say it's very much like England.
Very much like England, fragmented individuals. But I mean, and I know football wasn't played on paper, and I'm fully aware of that. But surely, if you match up England's midfield 3 against Holland's 2 or 3, then the game should be won in that midfield by England quite comfortably. Mm-hmm. They got Reinders and these players I've never even heard of, and I've watched them play, and I just think, oh God, they're not very good, are they? From what I've seen so far, their forward line, they got Gakpo, Bergwijn, and Depay. If you looked at the names and you looked at it on paper, and with the eye test as well, Bergwijn and Depay ain't going to scare you. Gakpo's the one that's probably done bits and pieces in the tournament so far. Defensively, yeah, they've got Van Dijk, and Van Dijk still looks like a Rolls Royce of a centre half. It's going some when Mickey van der Ven can't get into the team and only keeps replacing Ake in the second half of games. But I think the reasoning behind Luke Shaw is if Luke Shaw can only give you an hour, right? Do you start Luke Shaw or do you play him as a substitute? If he can only give you an hour.
Why would you substitute in a defender? That just seems like.
No, what I'm saying, Colin, if he's been injured and they say the physios and the medical team are saying he can give you 60 minutes. Do you start him or do you bring him on?
I
think you start him.
Okay. So if their thoughts are that the games have been tight and they're going to go to 120 minutes.
Yeah, no,
I think you start him.
I still think you start him and you try to
because then I think
you'll
get the best 60 minutes out of Trippier. I guess you have to assume you're going to get the best 60 minutes out of Trippier, but it's a tough call. I think no matter what, if you only get 60 minutes out of Luke Shaw and then they put on Trippier, then your left side is now vulnerable, and whether it's in the first 60 or the second 60. They're gonna use that left-hand side to their advantage.
So another good way to think about it, though, I guess, is England does have the subs, especially on the offensive side of things, that they could really make a change. I mean, towards the end of the match, put in some really forward-thinking, like offensive players, but then also sub in Luke Shaw to kind of tighten up the back while they try to either chase the lead or chase tying goal. I don't know. That's now I've thinking.
Couldn't they move like Trent over there or something like that? Or
nah, Trent is not. Trent is ideal. Trent would be ideal for Angie's system because Trent can invert into the midfield, right? He's not a natural. For me, he's not a natural fullback. That's where he plays for Liverpool, but he inverts. He does. He inverts for Liverpool. He's not a natural fullback. Where Robertson on the left for Liverpool is more of a natural fullback. So I don't think having if you're playing a 5 across the back with wing backs, then Trent will have a place in the team possibly. But for me, England are lopsided when they haven't got a left footer playing there. And for me, if Shaw's not fit, I'd play Saka at left back because Saka's played left back before. Might not like playing there because he wants to play up on the right hand side, but you put Saka at left back and you put Cole Palmer in on the right hand in his place on the right hand side. But at the end of the day, the game will be tonight. And like you said, from the bench, I call it finishers. If they've got 5 good finishers, then I think England should win this game. Holland will be more open than the other teams that played against England because they were well structured and well set up. Holland will play open. We saw it against Austria, and against France, they hardly got a kick of the ball. It was all France, and I think France have been negative all tournament, but it was mostly France when they played Holland as well. So I'm hoping that England do win tonight, do get the victory, so they meet Spain in the final. So then my life becomes easier at the weekend. Like I said, I've got family rooting for Spain. I've got family rooting for England, and I can sit on the fence. And either one wins, then I can. If either one wins, the others will commiserate each other. It won't be like it won't be no bad animosity, and they'll commiserate each other. However, I make it clear: if England did not qualify tonight, then I am all in 100% guns blazing for Spain to win. So, because someone's asked me the question, it's Scott M is put in the chat. How much will Jose celebrate when England beats Spain in the final? I will celebrate.
I asked him earlier that. Yeah.
Scott, I will celebrate equally if England beats Spain as if Spain beat England. It would be equal celebration to me because I have my foot in both camps. I've got family on both sides. So
I don't know if I trust him, Scott, but that's what he's saying.
Paul G is saying we're going to win 2-1. We will then beat Spain in the final.
Woo, Paul! Yeah.
Wow. I just don't see it.
Plot twist. Paul is from Holland.
Oh, wow.
No, I'm just kidding. That'd be a funny plot twist. It's not the
Just,
case.
just
I
Fusion
hope
saying,
Scott's doing okay after the game last night. The
Oh shit.
Argentina, Canada.
Yeah, that's why Scott seems upset today.
Just Fusion saying, Kane is always good to choke in a final. Scott M says, Trippier's starting show Southgate is still clueless as ever.
Mm-hmm.
Pramvat's here. Good evening. Good evening, Pramvat. How are you, sir? Hope you're well.
What's up, man?
Big up, Pramvat. Good to have you on the show yesterday, buddy.
Great to have you.
Says, good call with Spain. Nobody were talking about them. England win it all despite everything. So Gus is going for all in on England.
Do you think if England win, it means you got like 4 more years of Southgate?
Right, I've been hearing. I'll answer that because I've been hearing conflicting stories. So, right, Scott says if Southgate set England up properly, they should easily beat Holland, but Southgate won't do it. It will be a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Peter says rubbish or not, he's here this year and can't do any worse than the other Muppets. I don't know what that refers to, but obviously someone's talking to each other. Smash the likes, guys, is what someone called Eltel Cockerell has put in the chat. Daniel Coy says if Trippier plays left back, which he obviously is, England are coming home tonight.
Ooh.
DC says you play Trippier for 60 minutes, then our left hand side is knackered going forward because you might as well play the Aston Villa centre back Ezri Konsa at left back. We have Leo says, "What's up, fellas? Hi, Leo. I hope you're well, mate. I hope all is good in Colorado." Paul G. Spurs and English. I'm optimistically forever deluded.
I love it. I love it, Paul.
Scott, in response, I think someone was saying it. I think one of you guys are saying it. Says, I knew we were getting killed, so it wasn't a big deal. I'm also not a huge Canada soccer fan because of how poorly run they are.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then you've got Gus Parker says, England under Southgate have a ridiculously easy groups and knockout draws. This tournament is the same as 2004. England played Rui Costa Figo, etc. Portugal. This year they had Slovakia.
And they made that Slovakia game look really hard.
Yeah,
that is hard. The thing is, but remember what I was talking about earlier, guys, when I was talking about robotic football.
Mm-hmm.
This is what it's come to. It's not only international, it's football club sides as well. It's become robotic, whereby you've got a well-structured team, and a well-structured team can get a result against you because they attack together, they defend together. So they press together as a team, they counter-press together as a team, they defend as a team, and you've got people that are well-drilled. It's going to be difficult to beat you. And that's what I think is happening all over football now. I think it's become really robotic. I would say that England have got some players that if you let them loose to let them do their stuff, you could say that they're flair players if you let them go off and do their stuff. But if you tell them, no, you stick to this position, no, don't move from here, no, don't move from there, then it's the type of football you're going to get, I'm afraid.
Yep.
Right, my next banner that I had prepared was, what do you think, guys, and the people in the chat?
No news is irritating. I think Adrian had kind of predicted that we would see more signings after the July 1st because of the new fiscal year, but we really haven't seen much of anything. I'm wondering if it's the Euros and we're just waiting for the Euros. Maybe they don't want to overshadow the Euros with news, like if we sign Eze or stuff like that. But I'm really worried because if England go out or if England win, whenever the Euros ends and England is wherever they are, and we still haven't made many signings, I'd be very concerned. Like that season under Poch where we had no signings, I kind of feel like that. Like we need to sign. Someone mentioned about the young players. I want to pepper in some experience. Like I want an Ivan Toney. I really like Ivan Toney. I think that he would be very good on the team. And we need to bring in a little bit of experience, more than just having Sonny be the experience for everyone. Sonny doesn't bring shithousery, and I think Ivan Toney brings shithousery. But no news is very irritating. And when they have like Bayern, it seems like Bayern keeps snatching up players. Now Michael Olise's over there. They took Ito from us. There's what they signed another player. I think his name starts with a B. Other teams are doing business. We were talking to Pranvet yesterday. Manchester United are doing business.
Well, yeah, but Manchester United are freaks of nature. I mean, so I think everything's fine. I don't think there's really any reason to freak out yet, because like we were saying, yeah, Manchester United are starting to do some business. Out of the other Premier League clubs, though, or at least the ones that I would consider our rivals, we haven't been seeing much action. We saw those transfers at the beginning, of the transfer market, where it seems like some players, were traded around to different teams to help balance the books, and now we've seen players go to United, and then we saw Elise go to Bayern. But I mean, there really hasn't been anything else huge happen. And you were saying, not wanting to overshadow the Euros. I think it's also partly players just don't want to think about it. They're at a thing that's like a potentially once in a lifetime opportunity, to make it to a final of a major tournament, to represent your country, to win. I think that stuff like contract negotiations and shit, sorry language, I think they would just rather put that aside and deal with that whenever they're done. And they know there's still plenty of time to get that kind of thing finished when the tournament's over. And I know that you can still do business during a tournament. I'm just saying strictly, like, some players might not want to, and that's okay. And I would understand that. I don't think it's going to be. In fact, I know it's not going to be like those seasons under Poch when we didn't sign anybody. We've already made some signings, and yeah, I don't think it's the end of the world. I do think, though, that time is running out. I think that every day that passes by, fans get a little bit more tense, and that's okay. That's allowed, and they're warranted. But yeah, I think that for instance, I think the Eze deal is going to get done. I actually have an Eze highlight reel going on just in the corner that I'm watching, like, as we're as other people are talking. Dude's so good. I think if we get him, we're in such good shape.
You think we're gonna go
Eze?
Ebrech Eze.
Yeah, right. So for me, what I'm gonna say is that my thoughts on this is if you look at it, nobody's made any moves. It's not just Tottenham. It's nobody's made any moves.
United have kind of.
Well, not in the Premier League, not really.
Who they signed? They've signed no one yet, Man United. So no one's made moves, mate. Trust me, no one's made moves. And a lot of the stuff that's been touted and been talked about at United hasn't come to fruition yet. It's like Tottenham. We're going for Eze. We're going for Tony. We're going for this player. We're going for that player. Man United are saying the same thing. So are probably the other fans from other clubs. But nothing's actually happened. And I'm talking about not just the Premiership, all throughout Europe, it hasn't happened at all. Now, whether that's got anything to do with two major tournaments going on, I don't know, because I can't put my finger on it and tell you it is definitely because of the two tournaments that are going on, right? But also as well, under these rules, which I don't believe are rules anymore, to me it's an absolute fallacy. But if people want to talk about FFP and PSR shit and all that, people did their horse trading, closed their books, did some deals before the 30th of June, so their books are tied up. So now that they've tied the books up, everyone's looking at the books that they've got to do for next year, and that's why people are going to make moves. I was hoping, and today's Wednesday, I did a show at the weekend on Tottenham Diehards on the Sunday, and in that show, they said, what do you want to see? And I said, well, I'm hoping that Tottenham announce 2 moves and 2 departures by the next weekend, by this weekend coming. My thoughts around that is that we were talking about Doué, Neto, and who's the other one? Doué, Neto, and Eze, what we were talking about. And then the outgoings, they're talking about Emerson's deal's close, and Jed Spence would probably go somewhere. So I was hoping that would happen. However, that hasn't happened as yet. Today's Wednesday. That hasn't happened. It's irritating, and it is, because we want to see what players we've got coming in. And I think a lot of this leads itself to what Ange said last season. So Ange said last season that my second season I do better, and I want a team that challenges. Now, at the moment, let's be brutally honest, and everyone has to be honest. For the squad that we have at the moment, are we challenging?
Impossible to say.
Yeah.
Okay, it's impossible to say. So I'm going to help you along with impossible, right? Most of the squad that played for us last season are still with us, and we
Correct.
finished 5th.
Correct.
Right, the loanees that we didn't want have come back to our club and are still at our club now.
Who didn't want him?
Tottenham,
No,
Tottenham didn't want Reguilon. Tottenham didn't want
okay.
all the
Yeah.
all the loanees that have come back that Tottenham didn't want are now back with the club, right?
Yeah.
And to that we've added Bergvall and Archie Gray, right? So honestly speaking, hand on heart, are we going to be any better off than last season where we sit at this present moment in time?
No.
Okay.
But
So
maybe we'd be better defensively and coach better defensively, and then we could have a better finish in the league. That's all I'm saying.
So that's why no news is irritating, because we've been hung on the words that Ange said last year, right? Where he turned around and he said, second season and we'll challenge, right? And at the moment, I think the majority of people can't see a challenge because we don't seem to be bringing players in at the rate that we need to bring them in at, and get rid of players as well, in order to sustain what Ange is saying. Would you think?
And I forget his words. Did he say he wanted to like compete, or that we would compete?
He said that he said we would compete. He said that we would challenge for titles.
Oh, okay. Well,
so therefore, that's why I'm saying that no news is irritating, because I think you two might not be part of this. I'm speaking for the majority of the fan base, is where I believe the fan base is at with what I've just said. Where are you two with it? Do you agree, disagree? Do you have another notion, another thought?
I guess I don't agree or disagree. I see how it's irritating, and I see that what he said might have been not the smartest thing to say. If it was me, I would have said, I'd like to be, I want to be competing next season, or I want to be competing for the title. I think saying that we're going to be is sort of, setting a really big goal for yourself, and maybe even so far as say setting a target on your back. If you don't achieve that, obviously though the window isn't closed. I think that if we brought in, I don't know, 3 quality signings, that I think everyone's perception of the window would change. I think everyone's perception of next season would change. So, yeah. So, say we bring in Eze, Tony, and another one of the players. I don't know, Neto, or even
Gallagher.
Yeah, Gallagher. I wish there was like a winger that we were really, really strongly linked with. But say we bring in a winger, Tony and Eze. I think we're looking great, man. I think we're looking good. I think then this talk of a challenge is suddenly on, because you've got a 20-goal plus season striker in Tony. You've got Eze, who can help contribute with goals, because we like to spread him around a bit.
He can play in the wing, can't he, Eze?
Yeah, definitely can. Gets a lot of time out there.
Yeah.
But I do think we'll see him in the midfield quite a bit. He's just so creative, and he's fast. He's not slow, but I don't know. I think we'll see him in the middle a bit more than we'll see him on the wing, but could be totally wrong. Yeah, I think a couple good signings, and maybe you guys in the chat let me know what you think. A couple of good signings, 3 quality like top signings. I think everyone's perception of the window changes. What do you think, Alan?
Yeah, we need at least 3 more. I mean, we've already got Archie Gray, so I don't want to count him. But I don't want to say, in for 3, I don't want it to be Gray.
Oh yeah, he
Tony and Eze or something like that.
We'll say 3. Yeah,
he
more.
counts, but there should be 4, maybe 5 even. We were looking at right-footed center backs. We were looking at Calafiori, who I'm very concerned about going to Arsenal. I really want Tony. We were talking about Jonathan Davitt. And I hear a lot of rumors about Szymanski coming in. I don't know much about him, but he's supposed to be pretty good. Do you know much about Szymanski, Jose?
Yeah, Szymanski, right? Listen, let me tell you about Szymanski, because I've got another. My next banner is going to be. I'll put it up now. It says who will be coming in. So you're now talking about players that are coming in, right? So that was my next banner. Right, with Szymanski, Alistair Gold, obviously he's a Football Insider correspondent. With all this news that was coming about Szymanski, he's gone and he started asking questions at the club and stuff like that. And he's come back and he said there is no, he can't find anything on Szymanski and Tottenham bidding for Szymanski at all.
Interesting.
But he has said that that's not to say that something may have happened, because he's trying to caveat it to help himself out by saying he's not saying that hasn't happened, because with the Archie Gray thing, Archie Gray and as soon as Archie Gray's name was leaked that Tottenham were interested, within 24 hours deal was done. So he's saying that as far as he's aware, with all the contacts he's got and what he's gone and find out, Szymanski's not signed for Tottenham and stuff like that, is what he was saying. In a tweet, that's what he's retweeted out today. That he's gone away and found out. So Szymanski's not there on that list, or they've not approached him. Right. So, what I will say is, with Tottenham, right? The awkward thing is I don't know, and none of us know what our budget is and how much we can spend. Don't know how much you're going to get for outgoings, because outgoings haven't left yet. Because outgoings should supplement your incomings for this season, right? Seeing that we're beyond the 1st of July. Now we're being linked with Douay. So I'm going to talk in the last 7 days, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we've been linked with Douay, Neto, Eze, Nico Williams,
Szymanski.
Okay, Szymanski, Tony, and the forward from the Mexican forward, Jimenez. So they're now saying that. So the in the knows are now saying that the two forwards that Tottenham are looking at are Jimenez and Tony. There's no one beyond them two they're looking at. That's what they're saying now. That's the freshest news that's coming out at the moment. Mm-hmm. Now, for me, in an ideal world, don't get me wrong, I'd love to have all 6 or 7 that we're being touted with, right? But not knowing what you've got to play with and how much budget you got, and then not knowing how much you can pay on these structures of these deals, kind of limits you to say, well, we might only get another 2 or 3 players in, because we don't know what the deals are going to look like. If you had 100, and I'll say this for the easiest set of maths I can do is, if you had players that you were buying for 50 million and you could monetize that over 5 years, that means you'd pay 10 million per season for 5 years, right? So if you had 120 million to spend, you could get 10 50 million pound players in and still have 20 million spare, right, to look at the winter transfer window. But you could get 10 players in at 50 million if you're paying 10 million a pop for them, and you monetize it over the next 5 years. So you don't know how many players we're actually going for and whatever. The news has said for ages now, and whether this news is accurate or not, please don't shoot me, but the news has been saying for a while now, Tottenham are prepared to spend big on a marquee signing.
Yeah.
Right. So if Eze is your 60, Eze's got the release clause. You know for definite you have to meet the release clause. If you meet the release clause, it doesn't matter about clubs. Clubs don't matter anymore. It means you meet the release clause, you can talk to that player. The player wants to go to your club, it's a done deal. End of. Right? But you've got to meet the release clause. There are some people in the Tottenham camp, right, who've got thoughts of Tottenham will probably meet and maybe exceed the release clause in order to get better terms on buying the player. So with that, instead of paying 50 million up front and 10 million over 5 years or whatever, and then your add-ons that are included, they're saying that Tottenham could bid 60 million for him. So pay 10 million over the odds. But then what that means is that you only don't have to pay as much up front and you monetize over 5 years. So there's school of thought of doing that. But whether that happens or not, I don't know, because this is Tottenham, this is Daniel Levy. So, you know, at the end of the day, we're all in the dark. We don't know what's going to happen. And I think the light will only shine after Sunday. Because after Sunday, after Sunday in the Euros, and it'll be early Monday for us here in England. It'll still be Sunday for you guys in America when the Copa America final's being played. I think it's being played Sunday night your time, but Monday early morning my time. After them two competitions are finished, and I'm going to call it Sunday for now, then things may or may not start happening. If any deals have been structured and have been prepped, but not been signed off because of because teams are the players are still playing in these championships and are concentrating on these championships, but in the background the legwork could have been done, and it could well be that you might be able to announce some of these deals as soon as these two finals are finished. But I'm not sure. But yeah, I've put the question mark of who'll be coming in, and in the chat
You
we've
would
got.
think. Sorry, that
Go on, mate.
once the tournament, you would think once the tournament's over. I was muted. Sorry, but you would think once the tournament's over, we'll definitely announce a signing or two. I can't see why we wouldn't. But again, crazier shits happen. But I'd be willing to bet money that we announce at least one signing, the day after the final. A big one.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So Ryan G says, yeah, Jose, I saw you say you thought we were in trouble. Listen, Ryan, I'm not going to mess about, mate. I saw the horse trading and the skullduggery that was done, and I'm going to repeat what I've said in a previous show, mate. Fabio Paratici, the Don, was found guilty of this exact thing, although they did it and they cooked the books and they did it behind the scenes. Him and his mates at Juve were found guilty of this, hence why he got his ban. Wolves, Everton, Chelsea, and Aston Villa have done it in plain sight. They've done it in front of the whole world to be seen. They're horse trading, and they've got away with it. So the reason why these four clubs are no longer into trouble is because they've got some great accountants, or they've got some great people that work at their clubs who've circumvented a way around the rules in order to bypass what should have happened. But if you're going to go and buying players at inflated prices and selling players at inflated prices, you've just done it in plain sight. So at the end of the day, whatever's happened. That's why I don't believe in FFP and PSR. I think it's a load of crap. Where people are saying, and the books were saying that 10 teams are in trouble, I don't think that they were in trouble at all because they've managed to get away with what they've done. So, I don't believe anyone talks about PSR and FFP to me ever again in the future. I'm going to close my ears and say it's a load of crap. It's a load of codswallop. Don't believe in it.
Jose, he's saying further down that they weren't in that situation. That they weren't in this trading. They weren't part of the trades. But I don't know. I don't remember which teams. I know that Chelsea, Everton,
Aston Villa, Bournemouth, Wolves. There's a load of teams, man. Man United were even being talked about. There's about 10 teams in the Premiership that we're being talked about that were skating a fine line, and none of them, even Leicester were talked about, and none of them are going to get sanctioned at all, I believe, because if they were, we'd have known something about it. All this, we're going to get rid of players, and we're going to get easy pickings from other teams and stuff like that. None of this occurred because none of these teams are in trouble like was once reported. So I don't believe in it. I don't believe in FFP, PSR. If it is something that existed, then it didn't serve the job that it was meant to do. Simple. But that's my take on it. Scott Evans says certainly can't see how we had Gray for 40 million, the Polish guy for 30, Eze for 50, 60, and still get a striker, right winger, a number 6 we need for and the depth. Just Fusion says United think they're signing Yarrow, Real laughing in their general direction. The problem with the Yarrow deal, Jazz, is Yarrow wants to go to Real Madrid. Real Madrid are offering 20 million euros, which has not been accepted by the selling club. But Man United are offering like 50 million euros, which is being accepted by the selling club. So at the end of the day, if there's a price for a player and you meet that price, then they're going to buy the player. So, at the end of the day, if Madrid ain't offering the money that they want, they're not going to sell him to him, are they? Sorry, Carl, I need to do something. Can you just carry on with the chat so we can catch up and then we'll carry on?
Yeah, of course. Just finding out where we are exactly in the chat. There we go. So then we got Daniel. be realistic. Eze is 26. If City go in for him as well, he's picking City. He's about to hit his peak and probably will want something to show from his career. And at City, you get that. Do you think, though, and I'll ask you, Alan, do you think that that's a point of need or a position of need for City? Do you think Eze a player that can play over on the left, where they've already got a Jack Grealish, they've already got, I think Doku plays on the left. I know that obviously I was just talking about Eze as more of a midfielder, but if you see him on the wing, they've got, two really good wingers that are already, one in Jack Grealish that doesn't get game time already. Yeah, I mean, do you think that he would go to City knowing that, game time isn't at a premium over there?
I don't think he goes to City. I think City are rumored to be in for him because they have the money to activate his release clause. But if I remember correctly, he stated in an interview that he didn't want to leave London. So,
well, there you have it. That'll play a big role.
Yeah, and I think that's what's playing to our advantage. Is he I think he has family in London. Don't think he wants to leave London. He's in London now. I don't see him going all the way to Manchester just for a team move. Yes, does it mean that he might win trophies there? Yes, but I got a feeling he's probably put family over that.
Yeah.
So I don't think cities would be serious about him. I don't know that it benefits, as you said. They don't play Jack Grealish. They don't play. There's a lot of players they don't play. They kind of have a cemented team already. I don't see Eze slotting into a first team Man City team. So he would relegate himself to the bench if he went there.
Yeah, he'd go from being one of the top players in his current team to a bench player that would get time. I mean, he'd get game time, but still, I don't know. I think that would have to play a part in his decision. Are you back, Jose?
Yeah, sorry, I've just got loads of people around at the moment.
You're good, buddy. We were just talking about Eze going to City and how I don't think he would go because
City are not interested in Eze at the moment. That's all another one of those wild stories that have been put out there. Someone's come out and confirmed that City are not at the moment interested in Eze.
Sweet, good deal. It makes it even easier for us.
Although I guess we could play Eze at right wing, but still have massive holes at 6, striker and a third midfielder, is what Scott's saying. Audio saying not for the title from when we were talking earlier about what Andrew said. Nowhere close to competing for a title or trophy. Jazz is saying if you think that if you think they sign Eze, you must also think they're coughing up 68 million. Yeah, not thinking that myself.
We did sign a certain Ndombele for 60. So.
And you've got Spurs in retrograde, is what Jazz is saying.
Love it.
Foreign clubs can afford to wait out until Spurs board gets really desperate and will get the players we want and go and get them at a snip, says David Clark. Gus says, Ange will realise what Conte realised soon enough and it will be on to the next. Any concern with property and NFL events. Audio saying hopefully the 2 new coaches make an impact. Tony and Eze and our midfield is still so bad, is what Scott is saying. By Danny Ings from West Ham, Sonny Sunshine. So Sonny, hi Sonny, I hope you're well, mate. Sonny's a West Ham fan who I play football with. I've just realised who it is. Sonny, I hope you and the family are well, mate. And hopefully you're playing Friday and I'll see you in a couple of days' time on the pitch, mate. Yes, good old Sonny. Scott Holmes says Eze and Tony get us 4th. Maybe, but nowhere near the title. Daniel Coyes is saying Eze ain't going to Tottenham. Graham's here. Good afternoon, Graham says. Afternoon all. Transfer window is currently one big Mexican standoff. Once a big name signing moves, it will trigger a flurry of activity. Scott M is, we will never compete for anything with Ange as manager, no matter how many signings, even unrealistic ones.
I guess Scott's an Ange outlet.
Yeah, a load of people saying hello to each other. Jazz Fusion says, amazing some still think signing X, Y, and Z makes them a title team. Almost as if the club's miles ahead already, won't do a thing. Daniel saying, don't believe Turkish outlets. They talk absolute crap about transfer rumours. I thought people already knew that. Prepare for Groundhog Day, I think is what Gus is saying.
Mm-hmm.
Jazz Fusion, when I was talking about the money earlier, says that only works if Palace can replace it with a down payment. Dragon D's Nuts, good evening, good afternoon, Dragons, wherever you are, mate. Nice to see you. Says, if we were confident of getting Eze, we wouldn't be linked with Desiree Doué. Ryan's asking me about Wolves. I'm not explaining myself again, but Wolves are fine. There's nothing ever going to happen to Wolves, and it's not going to happen to none of the other teams either. They've done what they've needed to do. So if people believe that all these teams were never in trouble before, then so be it. Like I said in many, many other shows, I don't believe in this PSR stuff anymore. And it's either the teams have got great accountants and the Premier League have got absolute crap and intolerant investigators who can't investigate nothing.
I think it's both.
Yeah. Well, they've got a lot to answer for, the Premier League, I tell you. But I don't care now. It don't bother me. It's something from the past, and I will never ever believe that shit ever again. Is what I'm going to say.
Yep.
Big clubs are too big to fail, says Jazz Fusion. And he also says FFP only serves to keep the small clubs down. We've got Big John saying afternoon all marching on together. And then we've got what we got. You've got Jazz Fusion saying correct player once we're out and will not leave. Then that's the defender Euro from the one that trying to sign with France. Jazz Fusion says doesn't matter what United pay if they don't accept Madrid, Madrid will get him in free in a year's time. Scott M says Eze has to decide if he cares about football or not. If he doesn't, then he signs with Spurs. If he does care about football, then no chance he signs for us. Interesting take. Ilmatic, hello, good afternoon, good evening. Ilmatic says, yep, those clubs laundered right out of their PSR situations. Paul G says, it's a brilliant panel today. It's been a great show. Thank you, Paul G.
Thank you.
Just Fusion says, Palace may as well keep Eze, no incentive to move him on. Ilmatic says, the Athletic said City is not interested in Eze for what it's worth. That's what I'm saying. That's what the news was coming out. Daniel Coizon, I've already answered the stuff about all the other teams. I'm not right, Ryan. Agree or disagree? I'm not talking about PSR anymore. As I said, I don't believe in PSR. I don't believe in FFP. I don't believe anything was ever there in the first place. I think some people have built this up to be something that it never, ever, ever was, and a lot of us have been duped. When we're all led to believe that 10 clubs are in trouble. And when I say we're all meant to believe, even their supporters of the clubs believe that they were in trouble. Yep. Because if you're allowed to be, I can't remember, is it you're allowed to be 105 million in debt, nothing over that over a 3-year period. And then in the Championship, it's far less than that, right? Then you've got teams like Forest who got done last year. But they spent well in excess of £250 million when they first came up. Have they sold £250 million worth of assets? Have they got that much income coming into their stadium on match day that cleared them from that? At the end of the day, I'm not believing nothing. Everton, another team who are meant to be in trouble again. I don't believe in anything anymore. Chelsea are meant to be in trouble. There's all these clubs that are meant to be in trouble, and none of them are in trouble. So I don't agree with it. Chris Peters, afternoon, Jose and panel. Good afternoon, Chris. I hope you're well, sir. I really hope you're well. Scott says it was hyped up by some Spurs fans to try and justify the way the club had acted, but for people with a clue and every other fan base, it was clear that the rules will never matter. Scott, I'm actually saying that there's a lot of teams that actually felt that their club were in trouble as well, or that their clubs were in trouble. So it's not just something that has been made up now. At the end of the day, it is what it is. Right. Big John has asked the question, and I'm going to let Mr. Lover of Archie Gray, Colin, if he's there to answer it first. If he's there, that is. Palio says that Gooners won Eze.
I haven't heard that.
Chris Peters says, I've grabbed the membership for all your hard work you've done. Chris Peters, thank you very much. And with that, I will remind people that the membership link is pinned to the chat. Right, sorry, Colin doesn't seem to be around, so I'll ask you the question then. The Big John's asking, what do you think of the Archie Gray deal?
Um, so I don't know a lot about Archie Gray. What I know about Archie Gray, I know from Colin. He sent me his highlight reel, and he had me look up the player. I think he has a lot of potential, and he's young, so he can develop. Um, if you ask Leeds fans, what do they think about him? They love him. They really love him. So, and they were sad to see him go. So that tells me something. When the fan base is sad to see a player go, is a good sign for me, that he will be a pretty good signing. As far as gauging the temperature of this signing, I think it was a good signing for the future. I don't know how much of an impact he's going to have early on, but I think he's a signing for the future.
So the name is a giveaway, Alan. John LUFC.
Yeah.
So it's Leeds United Football Club. So John is a Leeds fan, and his Leeds badge is there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So John knows all about Archie Gray anyway. Is Colin there? No, not. He's still not there. Right. So for me, I unlike a lot of other people, right, who I've heard say Archie Gray is shit, but I've never seen him play. And I've heard some of the fan base say that Archie Gray is shit, but I've never seen him play.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And at the end of the day, how can you judge someone that you've not seen?
Right.
Right. So I take it with a pinch of salt, some of the people that come out with comments like that. Right. Archie Gray, from what I saw last season and the games that I saw on, because I have the satellite packages which show me the championship matches as well as League One and League Two. And yes, I do watch all types of football. I saw Archie Gray, and Archie Gray is a competent footballer. Archie Gray spearheaded Leeds last season, right? He did. There's no getting away from it. Archie Gray is a player that he walked the championship. So the championship was easy enough for him, and he's only 18. Last year at Christmas time, so I'm going to repeat some of the stuff I said on previous shows, John. Last year at Christmas time, the two young players that were being touted the most out of the championship, so they were touted ahead of Hayden Hackney, Philogene, and people like that. The two players that were definitely being touted more than others were Adam Wharton and Archie Gray. There's 2 years difference in Wharton and Gray, but they're the two that were being touted the most as Premiership ready players, and more Premiership ready, as I said, than Hayden Hackney and Philogene and people like that. And in the end, we know that Wharton was signed by Crystal Palace for 20 million.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been signed. He's been a first team footballer for Crystal Palace since he signed. He played the second half of the season. So he wasn't a sub. He went straight into their first team. He affected that first team, played really, really well, which got him his call up to the England squad. Right. And I think Palace paid 20 million for him.
Yeah,
right?
Great deal.
Yeah. And now Archie Gray has come about, and Tottenham have managed to secure his services for whatever the cost may be, because there's varying reports. Some say 25, some say 30, some say 35, some say 40. And this is including with the road on going the other way. There's a lot of different stories coming out about how much he cost. However, if you look at the player himself, right, the attributes to play an Ange system are perfect with Archie Gray, playing as a midfielder. Archie Gray can play the anchor role as a 6, but Ange will tell you we don't play with 6s, right? But he can play the anchor role. They played Chelsea in the cup, Leeds, and this is Chelsea that had Caicedo, Fernandes. So you're talking about 270 million pounds worth of midfield, right? And Archie Gray walked all 3 of them, scored them, in fact, all 3 of them, right? So on the one side, he does that. He's played so well you know, if you reference Adam Wharton and him, right, he can do a job. Now, some people are saying he's not oven ready for the Premiership. Some people are saying it's going to take time and that. And sometimes as a fan base, someone like Archie Gray comes along. We do not go for Archie Gray. He goes to play for Liverpool or someone like that of Dale, right? Or thereabouts, one of our competitors, right? And then we're like, he plays really, really well for him. And we're like, well, why didn't we take a punt on him? To buy him now, he's worth 90 million. And Tottenham ain't paying 90 million for a player. So, and that's the kind of argument you're going to get. So it remains to be seen. He's not a bad player at all. I think he is a very good player from what I saw last season. And I actually saw him play. He is a good player. But like I've said on previous shows, for me, he and Bergvall and stuff like that, yeah, great footballing talent that they've got. But you want every youngster has to have someone to look up to, right?
Yes.
Regardless of what people say, youngsters need role models. They need people to look up to. And what we need to do is if we've got Stardust and our youngsters are that good and we've got Stardust there, we need to sprinkle that Stardust, right, with some good older pros.
Yep.
Now, we've got some good older pros at the club, but we could be signing some good older pros as well.
Absolutely.
So you've got to take both. So I'm happy with what we signed, but we need to sign. People are going to call it proven rather than older pros. People are going to say proven players. And I am in agreement. I think we need to sign some other players as well to complement the youngsters we signed. If it's just the youngsters we're going to sign, then we are going to go through pain as a fan base. We'll go through pain again. And we're not sure whether we're going to get the long-term gain out of it.
Yep.
What are your thoughts?
No, I said pretty much the same thing, that you have to sprinkle in some experience with the youth. And that's why I was saying like an Ivan Toney, because I said Sonny can't shoulder the burden of being the quote unquote experienced player to all of these youngsters. We need more experience. And I think Cuti Romero may be a big presence, but I don't know if he's the person that everyone needs to look at. You know, so let's say we say Cuti Romero and Sonny. That's really all we've got. I'm trying to think of who else people could look up to.
Lolo.
I guess. Yeah.
Lolo. But can I be honest with you as well, right? Right. Age is nothing but a number, right? If we're going to be real about this, right? And this is what I mean. If you're going to challenge someone on a conversation and a debate about this, then look at the wider debate, right? Are we agreeing that Bergvall and Archie Gray are young?
Yes.
Okay. So, is Pedro Porro
young?
Mickey van der Ven,
young.
Radu Dragusin, Pap Sarr. I mean, the list continues. Are they considered young players as well?
Yes.
They all had their first season at Tottenham last year, and they are all young players, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, who's going to turn around and tell me that Pedro Porro is crap? Who's going to tell me Mickey van der Ven is crap?
No, he's
Who's
great.
going to tell me that a doggy is crap? Who's going to tell me Pap Sarr is crap? So at the end of the day, they are young, Scott. They are young. They're 23 maximum years of age. You've got players that are 21 still, 22, and some have turned 23 now, but were with us when they were 22 last year. These are young. These are young players. So when you're looking at young player of the year, these people still would come under young players of the year, right? So at the end of the day, Tottenham are building a younger team. They're reducing the age of they got in the team. But Scott, like I said before, right, still doesn't take away from the fact that I think, and Alan is in agreement, that we need to get some older heads into the team as well. So these young uns got reference points to look up to.
Yep.
And that's why I think we need to, with these, if they're jewels that we've got at the moment, we need to crown these jewels off by getting the bigger caliber players in as well to help these youngsters out. And
Absolutely.
I think we're in agreement on that, aren't we, Alan?
Yes, absolutely.
Who we got here? Sorry, Chris Peters says, New York Times, 2nd of July 2024. He is one of the most promising talents in the world in his position. He is a type of press-resistant, highly technically proficient central midfield England rarely produces. And he's talking about Archie Gray. Gus Parker says Levy's banking on another Bale. Daniel Coy says, unless you watched Archie, which I have, you can't really judge him, seeing as people probably ain't seen him play. Daniel, I wholeheartedly, I'm agreeing with you, mate. But now all I'm saying as well is I've watched people on shows tell people the thoughts that they think the player is shit. But by the same token, they've also turned around and said, but I haven't seen him play.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you determining that someone is, in your words, you're calling him shit, but then saying, but I haven't seen him play? And then when people are on shows saying, yeah, but I've seen Archie Gray play, and Archie Gray's this, that, and the other. Yeah, but that's your opinion. He's shit. He's still shit, but I haven't seen him play. I don't understand the argument, Daniel. I really don't. Paolio's saying it's keyboard warriors. And Ilmatic makes a point. He says Bielsa promoted Gray to Leeds first team when he was 15 years old. Bielsa knows talent. So Bielsa is the person that gave Pochettino his chance as a footballer.
Wow.
As well. Scott, you didn't. Scott, let me tell you now, it wasn't you. It wasn't you, Scott. No one said you. All right. No one said you because it wasn't you that said it. I'm saying that I've heard people. People have to go up and go and find out. But people that turned around and said, he's shit, but I haven't seen him play football. Big John says, Big Ange will get the best out of Archie, and I see Spurs pushing this season with a few more signings. Cockney Johnny Basco. Johnny's in the house, and just like, oi, geezer. John says, Spurs need Tony, in my opinion.
I think we're set up for an actual 9, which is what Tony does, which is what Harry Kane did. So I think it just fits.
Yeah. Scott's trying to say that these guys with seasons at top leagues. The Premiership's their first season in the Premiership, and it is a top league. Although he says that Van der Ven played in the Bundesliga, Porro in La Liga. Porro didn't play in La Liga. Porro played in the Super
Portuguese.
Liga. He came in from the Portuguese league, which ain't in the top 5 leagues. I don't think in Europe, or it's not classed as one of the top 5. Although does produce some good talent. And Dragusin was in Serie A. You've got Mark Cousins, the sheriff, saying, Jose, my man, how's it going? Can you start again? I've only just got in. Paolo saying, Madison. Gus says, at least Tony has performed in the Premiership.
Yep.
Sorry, Scott's saying that Porro played in La Liga with Valladolid, but not much. Not much. He played a lot more, I believe, in Portugal for Sporting Lisboa than what he did. Ilmati says Vicario and Van der Ven also becoming future leaders in the club, as they will really boost us. Fully agree. We still need an older, experienced players. Listen, if we were to get players of, like Scott said earlier, Scott says we make the top 4 if you bring in Eze and Tony. He said we make the top 4, right? But I'm not just looking for Eze and Tony. I think 4 players is not enough players to sign. I know we've got to get rid of players as well, but I'm looking for Tottenham, and I said this from day one. Tottenham's average is 6 to 7 players in a window, right? And at the end of the day, if we've done our due diligence, we've done our work properly, right? And we've got a list of a cast of however many. There's no reason why we can't bring 6 or 7 into the club, right? So I'm looking from this moment on to bring at least another 4 players in. And Eze and Tony only make 2. There's still 2 more missing. And who the makeup of the 4 are, I don't know. But I think we need to get 4 more players in for me.
Yeah, I agree. We just got to start getting rid of players too.
Yeah. Cockney Johnny Vasco says, go fund to get me Williams and our little 16-year-old with a billion buyout clause from Barca. Only $1 billion. So he wants to set a GoFundMe page so we can raise the money to go and get Williams and
his need for what, 300,000 a week,
and Yamal is what he's talking about for a billion pound buyout clause.
Oh yeah, Yamal, what a great player! My gosh, what a talent that kid's. I mean, he's already a talent, but he's got such a high ceiling.
So you've got Scott Evans says, I don't think we get top 4 with those guys. I just think that's the ceiling if they're the only guys we add. And I'm looking for 2 more players on top of that. I'm looking for us to bring in 4 players, Scott, if possible. Daniel says that Porro was at Girona for 2 years. He may well have been, but Girona have only just become a La Liga side recently. So if he was at Girona, he wouldn't have been playing in La Liga. He would have been playing in La Liga 2 or somewhere like that. Gus Parker says, when's the window shut? So the window closes. I think it's actually the window closes the 2nd of September, Gus. Although Ilmatic says trader window closes 30th of August. My understanding was the 2nd of September. I've got a show that's been lined up for the 2nd of September, only because I'd made a comment back in many moons ago. I made a comment to say that I would judge Tottenham and where I think they would be by the time the window shuts. So I actually set up a show for the 2nd of September, and it's been set up on my page or on my channel for ages. It's been there for months. I just set it up as the 2nd of September. That's when I think the transfer window closes. I'm going to clarify that because I'm seeing that someone's saying it's the 30th. When does the transfer window close, not open? Right, it's coming up. Where does it say? When does the transfer window close for the Premiership? Oh, I'll tell you what. I might need to change. I might need to
August 30th.
It's August the 30th. I need to change my show because I was on the understanding it was the 2nd of September. Okay, so thank you, because now the 30th of August is where I need to change my show. And it has to be 11 p.m. on the 30th that I now do it. So I'm going to have to bring my show forward by 3 days.
That's the beauty of planning ahead. You can always change it.
Yeah. He's played 32 times for Girona in La Liga. How many times did he play for Sporting? A lot more than that, I would have thought. But anyway, it's by the by. At the end of the day, we're talking about young players. It doesn't matter where they've come from. They're all young. They're all young players, is what I'm trying to say. It's a young crop of players that we've got, and I just think that we need sprinklings. We need to have other people as well. It's good to have these youngsters, and in the future, then you're secured, you're sorted if they stay with you. Because another one of the comments that people make, and I'm not going to say I totally disagree, is if you're building for the future and not for now, there's a lot of comments saying next season, at the end of this season, right? So at the end of this season says next season. Players like Romero, if you don't start winning things, players like Romero will then move on to your Madrids and teams like that. So you've got that school of thought as well from people, and I don't wholeheartedly disagree.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if you're going to be a World Cup winner and a possible Copa America winner and stuff like that, and you're doing it on the international stage, then you want to be doing it on club stage as well. And
absolutely,
at the end of the day, if you're not going to offer the players, you know, the silverware and the stuff that they think they deserve, then yeah, I can see that some of these people may be right in what they're saying. That some players may want to move on, but then if they do move on and they've got a hefty value to them, monetary value to them,
You go get new
and then
talent.
and then you're left with the youngsters that you've got, or the crop of youngsters that you've got, then you've got a good chance of building a side with the younger players that you've got. I mean, there's levels though, because we've got players that are in their 23s, we've got players that are 21s, and then you've got players that are 18s. So we've got different levels of ages type thing, but they're all teams for the future. But it's the hard one, because what you want to do is you need to balance both. It's the here and now, or and you're balancing for the future. Now, there are clubs in the past, and I'm not saying this is everyone, there are clubs in the past that went for the here and now, didn't get the here and now, ended up losing all their players, and ended up getting relegated a few leagues. So that's happened to clubs. So you've got to be careful, so to speak. But I agree. From my personal opinion, and I think for Alan's as well, just to make sure the chat know that we're on the same page, Alan and I, is that we do believe that we've got some good youngsters that we've brought in, but we need to sprinkle them with older heads.
100%.
We have to, and that's what we're saying. The buys that we make going forward need to be players that will affect the first team. Players that come in and challenge for the first team, not players that will come and sit on your bench or they'll pad your squad out. You need players that will come and challenge for a first team place.
Absolutely. And again, like an Ivan Toney. I think Ivan Toney, and because people were saying, oh, it's he's not performing at Brentford. I think there's some bad blood between him and Brentford, because I don't think I think he was not well treated for something that might be an addiction, and I don't know if there's some bad blood between him and the club. So if I felt bad playing for the team that I played for, I might not be at my best either. So it may be best for all parties if he were to leave Brentford and come to a new team. I think it might reinvigorate him. We show that we believe in him. I think he would be greatly rewarded with a player that's just a phenomenal striker.
So, but it's interesting what you say, because for me, sorry, let me just say, what did it say? Gus Parker says here, plenty of time. Levy can't keep this charade up. He's got to chuck something at some top class, ready to go talent. I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah.
Levy is not doing transfers. It's Lange, is what Paudio's saying. Right. It's interesting what you're saying, right? And I'm interested because you're saying that you think there's some bad blood there.
Yeah.
Right. I think, well, at least from the manager, I think that the club stuck by him, to be honest. I really do. I mean, I can't remember whether any of the charges whilst he was playing for Brentford, or whether they were for clubs that he played before he went to Brentford. But I thought the club done well by sticking by him, because he was suspended for 9 months or something.
Yeah, something like that.
But his wages were still being paid.
The
club was still in contact with him. The club was still supporting him through his addiction and stuff. So if there was some bad blood, it'd be interesting. It could well be on the outside looking in. I'm saying what I'm saying, but from the inside looking out, something may have happened. I don't know, but I felt that Thomas Frank. I mean, I remember him being at, I can't remember what Grand Prix it was, but I remember Tony being at a Grand Prix, and Thomas Frank was there as well. And they interviewed Thomas Frank, not with Tony, admittedly. They interviewed Thomas Frank, and he spoke so highly of Tony. I mean, I've said in the past as well about Tony. Tony's charges are historical. They're old ones.
Yeah.
And I can't remember when they date back to. But it was all known about, and you knew that he's been charged, and that there was going to be a case for it. So that's hanging over him. And then when the case actually happened, then he got his suspension for 9 months or whatever. Then you've had the whole 9 months of his suspension. He came back and started playing in January. He's played for half a season. So if I look at that, that's what to where we are now. That's 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Plus the 9 month suspension, that takes you to 15 months. Plus when he got caught and charged, there was a length of time from when he got caught and charged. So that would be in excess of 15 months. So my thoughts on it are that if he hasn't transgressed in all that time, right? So Ryan's saying the charges were incidents from 17 to 21. But if he hasn't transgressed from the minute that he was charged, right? Because the charges that were made against him, he wasn't then found guilty till a lot further, because we all knew about the charges, but then by the time, so we're talking in excess, just with the suspension and now it's already 15 months plus whatever it was the charges till he got found guilty. It's quite a length of time, Alan, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And during that time, if he hasn't transgressed, right, then his club would know, right? England would know. England would never have taken Tony away with them to these championships if he had transgressed again.
Sure.
Because Tony was actually dropped from the England squad when all this happened.
Yeah.
Right. And what I'm trying to, so basically, if he's cleaned up his act, so to speak, right, then there could be some validity why Tottenham are going for him or interested in him, because he's cleaned his act. I'm sure that if he hadn't cleaned up his act, I don't think Tottenham would be going after him. Does that make sense?
I guess. I mean, we kept Levy kept Fabio Paratici. He was friends with Fabio Paratici, and Paratici was in trouble for the stuff that he did at Juventus. Did Paratici clean up his act also? Do we feel? I think Ivan Toney I mean, it would player versus personnel, but I'm wondering if we're a team that gives players second chances. Even if they've transgressed recently, that they're we should look past those things, and we're willing to take a gamble that they won't transgress again.
But with Paratici, though, right, the thing with Paratici, sorry, I need to bring this up. Johnny Vasco, Cockney Johnny Vasco, has become a YouTube member. Muchas gracias, Johnny. I hope all is well. Thank you very much for becoming the latest member of the crew. Gus Parker says nothing gets done without Daniel Levy say so. But with Paratici, it happened before he came to Tottenham.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd already left Juve. Happened before he came to Tottenham. Then he got charged and he got found guilty.
Mm-hmm.
At that moment in time when he got found guilty, I think Tottenham would have dropped him like a stone, right?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't, because he appealed. On appeal, if I remember rightly, he got the ban reduced a little bit.
A little bit.
And he did get it reduced a little bit, but with caveats. And part of the caveats is that he was allowed to do certain work without being a named board member and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
weirdness.
So Tottenham let him go, right? But then used him in a contractor type situation.
Yep.
Right. And he's able to work as a contractor, but he could work as a contractor at any club. So the rules are not just for Tottenham; they would have been for anywhere he went.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Levy's just thought highly of him enough
to
give him or let him do what he can do without putting the club into trouble and himself into trouble. And in all honesty, it served us well, because last season a lot of the signings that we made, your doggies, your Vicarios, your Van der Vens, some of these players were under his watch. They were brought in under Paratici's watch. So for what he's done, he's done the right thing. Now, the other thing is, we're talking about this now, and without looking it up, how long ago did this happen? How long ago did he get banned? How long ago was he charged and then banned? Because it seems to be quite a while ago. So if he got banned for 30 months or whatever, well, we're certainly well into that 30 months now, aren't we? Well into
yeah.
So it's just interesting where it sits at. But yeah, like I said, I think that they would have done due diligence on Ivan Toney.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think that Tottenham might be looking at him, because they feel that he hasn't transgressed since he first got charged.
Mm-hmm.
And then by what Ryan's saying, if Ryan's saying that the charges are, for instance, that occurred between 17 and 21, he definitely didn't get charged in 21.
No, he
There
got
might
charged
have
in
been, yeah, I don't think,
20.
not when he got found guilty, because he got found guilty 15 months ago.
Yeah.
So 15 months ago would have been the beginning of, that would have probably been February, no,
23.
no, 15 months ago would have been February 23 when he got found guilty or whatever. Or sorry,
Mm-hmm.
when he was banned.
Yeah.
Right, so it would have been around then that he was banned. But he was charged before that. So you could be looking, okay, so you could be looking at somewhere in 2022 is when he was done. So yeah, so it makes sense that Ryan's saying between 17 and 19. So he got charged in December 2022, Ryan. It must have been, it can't be 23, because 23 was December last year. And he was banned up until January 24. So it must have been 22 then. He must have got charged in 20. Yeah, Ryan's saying 22. Yeah, Ryan, you're right. It must have been 2022. So they've done their due diligence on him, and that's probably the reason why they're going after him. So
Fair enough.
that makes that interesting. What did I have here? Did I have? I think I might have had another banner. Okay, yeah. The other banner that I've got is to let everyone know that it's been confirmed by those who have Spurs play, which Adrian is one of them, right? And I know others have got it as well. But all 6 pre-season games, and I don't think this includes Cambridge on Saturday, but all 6 pre-season announced games will all be on Spurs play. So they're all live
Really?
on, yeah, they're all live on Spurs play.
Cool.
So
I
if,
subscribe to that.
so if you've got a Spurs play, then you will be able
Mhm.
to see all 6 pre-season games. I'm not
Excellent.
sure. I'm not sure whether this includes Cambridge on Saturday, because there's a behind. No, it can't do, because it's behind closed doors. There's a behind closed doors friendly on Saturday against Cambridge United, which has been hushed in or hurried in. So the players would have been back on the grass for a week, and they've already got a behind the closed doors pre-season friendly with Cambridge lined up for
Why?
Saturday.
Why are we doing that? It just seems like we're rushing things. And is it just to get the squad? Maybe we play the younger players, or give the under 21 some time, or
You could only, well, no, because the under 21s have got a friendly this Sunday, I think.
oh, do they?
Yeah, I think they've got a friendly this Sunday. But right, when I used to play football and I was back in the day and I was involved in all this, when we went back for pre-season, all we did, honestly, Alan, for the first 2 weeks is fitness work.
Yeah.
We hardly touched the ball. It was all fitness work, and we hardly touched the football. So if you had said to me, right now, if I could go back, teleport myself to myself that I was back then, and someone said to me, right, we're only doing some fitness training and ball work, and by the way, in a week's time we got a pre-season friendly, I'm jumping all over it.
Yeah.
I'm jumping all over it, because
Okay.
before it used to be when I played football back in the day, we did 2 weeks of fitness and intense training before we even started kicking footballs.
Oh yeah. I played American football, and we had 2-a-days. You would do stuff in the morning, and then you would come back in the afternoon to do more. And a lot of it was fitness and stuff like that. But I couldn't imagine in a week. I would be nervous. I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't be at my best after a week coming back.
But you don't have to be your best, because it's pre-season, isn't it? This is gearing you up for the season, isn't it? So
Hmm.
you don't have to be your best. But I mean, you did American football and I played football. What I enjoyed doing, right, is I enjoyed playing football. I didn't like the training side of it. I knew we had to do it, but I didn't like doing the training side of it. I wanted to be on a pitch playing football. So,
Sure.
looking at this, I mean, we used to go pre-season training, and you used to think to yourself all the time, when am I going to get to the fucking kick a ball?
Sure.
When are we going to play football? That's what you used to think all the time. Do you know what I mean? So that's why, to me, looking at this, it's pre-season. So it's gearing you up. It's a step towards the season, right? And it probably measures where you are, because some of the clubs that you're playing against, they start before you. So I think usually League One, League Two, and the Championship starts at least a week before the Premiership. So therefore, they should be 1 week advanced in. They should be 1 week ahead at least in their pre-season. So it just measures you up. It just measures to see where you are at a stating point type thing. So for me, yeah, like I said, I'd be loving it. I'd be loving it if I was playing football now, where if you told me pre-season, but because now pre-season doesn't mean you don't get a ball. They went back on Saturday last week, right?
Yeah.
And they went back and they got all their tests and measurements done and stuff like that. And on the Sunday, they were on the grass.
Yes.
So whether they were training or not, they did this. They did their work inside, and then they went out on the grass. We never touched the grass to play football. We trained on the grass, but we never touched the grass to play football. So for me, I'm like all over it. I'll be loving it. I'll be saying, yeah, pre-season, yeah, give me some pre-season.
Sure.
Where before I used to be, nah, don't want pre-season at all.
It's almost too bad that they're going to be behind closed doors, because I'm sure people in Cambridge would love to see that match.
Yeah, I think we'll find whatever happened. We'll know about the scores and whatever happened. It'll be leaked out, or not leaked out, but it'll be said afterwards. But yeah, it's just one that I just wanted to make sure that people were aware that all 6 games are on Spurs Play. So sometimes you can look for your dodgy channels and stuff like that, and however you find your football. But this may be these games you may or may not find pre-season games, but they are being given on Spurs Play. So for those that have, I don't have Spurs Play. For those who have Spurs Play, it's just to let you all know that it is on Spurs Play all 6 games. You got Scott says Levy always puts his hands in transfers, which is every manager and DFF have said. Scott says Spurs Play and he's laughing. Daniel says more chance of me pulling Rihanna than me paying for Spurs Play.
I think he was vomiting, not laughing.
Yeah, I was vomiting. Sorry. And Scott says paying the club to watch our dross would be cruel and an unusual punishment. So, with that being said, that was
welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back, stranger.
Sorry about that. I got a package in the mail. I've been really excited to receive it, and it's just like electronic doodads. But it turns out I still need one more piece, so I couldn't even do what I wanted to do. But I'm back. Sorry about that, everyone. How's everything?
You've been playing with electrics.
Fiddling with old monitors and
fantastic
RF modulators. It's fun stuff.
Sounds great. Happy days for you.
Thank you guys so much.
Do you have Spurs Play, Colin?
No. I don't. I've actually considered it, mainly just to watch the preseason games.
Yeah, I have it.
Well, apparently for Spurs Play, because from according to I don't know.
I don't know. It's in pounds. I forget. It's like $9.99 a month or something like that. I don't remember.
Or you can pay it in outright.
I paid it all.
I think someone said it's 50 quid for the year.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay,
that's what I did. I always opt for the year instead of the monthly.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But I know that Dave Harris from the Irish Hotspurs got it. And he watches all the under 21 games.
He does. I know. I've watched with him.
He watches the under 21s, the under 18s. So he watches all that. But obviously, you're not going to get none of the League Cup games, the league games. You won't get all that. But anything outside of that, you can get on Spurs Play. So yeah, it's just to let people know that if they weren't aware, because some people get the football through dodgy channels and streams or whatever. But it doesn't mean that you're going to find all these preseason games. So I'm just letting people know that this is where they can be found.
For sure. Very kind of you to let the masses know. Did I miss anything really cool? Any fights or any?
We were going to ask you about Archie Gray. Your take on the art. Someone had mentioned Archie Gray.
Oh,
and people.
I'm just really excited. I think that he's tailor-made for the role that we're asking our right back to play right now. I know that's not where I know that he started out in the midfield, but even better because, we're basically asking our fullbacks to be midfielders in the system. So I think the fact that he has experience at both of those positions, I think it'll be perfect. He's young, but I also think he's kind of He's definitely not Dele Alli, and they're obviously different positions, but I think that he's going to be able to step in and have a part to play this season in some capacity. And I don't think he's going to take a year to be ready for the Premier League. I think he can pretty much jump in and he'll play a part. I'm excited, and I'd much rather have him over there than Emerson. So he's younger. It seems like he has a higher ceiling. And just an exciting footballer to watch. He's got shades of, you're gonna call me crazy. He's just really hard. I won't even say it, but he's just really hard to bully off the ball. So yeah, I'm excited for him.
Cool.
And you know me, Alan. I was talking about him.
Oh yeah, no,
he's
yeah.
6 foot. He's 6'2" tall. So he's quite tall.
Yeah, he's a little lanky, but I mean, he's 18. He's only 18. Has he got Mackey's there? Is that what I saw? Mackey's fries?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta get signed in before the football starts.
There you go. A nice, nutritious Mackey's.
Yeah, very nutritious.
Yeah.
Of course it is. You got Matty says his chance for the players to show Ange what they got. Ange also gets to see how they gel as a team and successes and opportunities individually and as a team. And Daniel Coyes is saying, "What's a dodgy channel? Never heard of such a thing." Right.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither.
I'm just about to. I was going to finish the stream. I'm glad you come back so you can say goodbye as well to people. But Daniel, what's your take on Spain, mate? I'm just interested in what you're saying because at the start of I think, Daniel, I'm right in saying you said to me with Morata, you're never going to win anything.
And to be fair, has he looked great? No, but he doesn't need to. You know what I mean? Like you were saying, it's
But he's put a shift in. He gets back on all sorts. He puts a shift in. He's a team player, and he has been. He's been playing as a team player. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. But I mean, they haven't won it, but they've won 6 games.
Right. Yeah. For sure.
But there we go. But anyway, right, gentlemen, tell people where they can find you.
Alan, you go first.
Sure. You can find me at Team Tottenham Go. I haven't been doing as much pre-generated stuff because it's slow so far and there's not much to talk about. But we've been doing dual live streams with Talkin' Ball. And at some point, I will probably do a dual stream with the Irish Hotspur as well.
Nice, dude.
And that's what I got going on.
Cool. What I will do is I'll add both your links to the show, and then like that people can just tag along from there. It'd be easier.
You're a good man.
On the description, we'll change the description so you got both of you on the description. Colin.
Hey, everybody. If you don't know, get to know.
Stop copying people.
I am Mr. Talkin' Ball himself. So that is the channel. The channel on which you can find me is called Talkin' Ball, and it's been around for a while. It's probably one of the older Spurs channels. Goes way back. You're gonna want to check it out. If you're not already a part of it, become a part. Subscribe. Hit the bell so you know when we're going on next. We've also got memberships, and there's gonna be some cool things for members. I just have to decide exactly what. Maybe some cool Spurs merch. We'll have to see. But anyway, guys, cool things coming, big things coming. So make sure that you have subscribed to Talkin' Ball and hit the bell icon because not even I know when I'm going on sometimes. So how are you supposed to know?
And then just Daniel Coyes has said, I still stick to it, mate. Morata, when the final comes up, let's see if he delivers, Jose, because you can't keep relying on Yamal to come up with bangers. Yamal, Daniel has only scored 1 goal. Out of Spain's 13 goals, Yamal scored 1.
Morata, it was a banger though. You can't deny that.
Morata has been in the team for all 6 games, and he's been a team player. When Morata misses his usual sitter in the final, Jose, I will be there, mate, to remind me. Okay, fair enough.
Cold-blooded, but I also love it.
Right, so I'm planning on doing another show tomorrow at 4 o'clock.
For the England game.
The England game will be tonight. So to come up to where we are with England and everything, I'll probably do a show tomorrow at 4 p.m. again. If you both want to do a show and you're available, you're more than welcome to jump on. Yeah. you're more than welcome to come on.
Yes.
And hopefully,
Yeah, I'll be here.
hopefully, I'm not sure how much more we can talk about unless things happen in the next 24 hours. It's probably going to all be around
Maybe we
this.
can do some keeper West Ham.
Euros.
It's going to be around the Euros, and it'll probably be around the Copa America, because with the Copa America, you've got the second semi-final tonight, Colombia versus
Uruguay.
So you've got that coming tonight, because Argentina are already through. They won last night, so that we'll have that. And if there's anything else to talk about with regards to any signings or anything that's movements in the market tomorrow, then we'll discuss it. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you to Johnny Vasco for becoming a YouTube member today.
Yes, join the club.
And I thank everybody that's watched. And then final words for you, Colin. Go on, what are you going to say to people?
Be good to yourself and be good to others. It'll make your life great.
Alan.
Come on, you Spurs.
And I'm going to finish it off with, in Ange, we definitely trust. See you later, everyone.